The Christian gospel comes in two basic flavours. The first type is the message that is presented as a form of God reaching out to man in love. You know, God is extending his hand saying, "Come to me, cast your burden upon me, come to me and be saved." And it's an appeal to some kind of human need that I suppose is probably quite complicated. The need to belong, the need to be freed from psychological pain of one kind or another, the need to not feel guilty anymore. All kinds of needs. In some basic sense, I guess the appeal is to, it's appealing to this hope within you that the feeling of lack can disappear, that this can somehow complete you. So that's one side of the gospel, God reaching out in love to man. The other side is God saying, unless you get in line and repent of your sins, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to make you burn in hell forever under my judgment. So it's kind of strange that the gospel is presented in these two fashions that they're both very different from each other, and you can find an uncomfortable marriage of sorts by describing the attributes of God as, well, God is loving, but God is also just, and he is holy, which is a kind of a kind of awful purity, almost a standard a standard of perfection that we can't hope to attain. And yet this is the standard that reflects God's character. He is holy. He is just, which means he must punish sin, but he is also loving. So back when I was a Christian, I held in my mind that sort of picture of God, and it makes an attempt to sort of bring these two very strange sides of his character together. So he is both loving and vicious in a way, but that viciousness is just, But here's the thing, when you get right down to it, even if you come to accept God like that, it really just boils down to three words: love at gunpoint. That's basically what it is. Now, in any other kind of relationship that you would have, you would not accept that. You would see that for what it is, as an attempt to manipulate you by putting a gun to your head and telling you, this is what you got to do or I'm going to blow your brains out. Now, the Christian might object and say, that's not a fair analogy because God he's Lord of heaven and earth. He's not just another man. But here's the thing. Bear this in mind. When the average person encounters the gospel, that person has no clue whether the events portrayed in the gospel accounts even happened. You're born into this culture. If your family was a church-going family, you're surrounded by people who believe in Christianity. You don't really know why they believe, but they do. So it becomes easy for you to believe because we have that natural follow the herd instinct. But if you're more of an individualist, you might ask, well, why do people believe this? And you'll find that the answers really aren't that good if you're prepared to really think about this on a proper intellectual level. People, Christians, they come out with various anecdotes to try and prove to you that the Jesus portrayed in the New Testament documents is the real Jesus, and that he really did, rise from the dead to prove to mankind that his claims were real, his claim of being the Son of God, sacrificed for our sins. These events were 2,000 years ago, and a couple of anecdotes just isn't going to do it. And it's very hard to figure out whether any of this is really true or not. You almost have to become a scholar in order to figure this out. Because on the one hand, you have a bunch of religious people who support this view, and on the other hand, you have a very rational scientific world that largely ignores all this Christian stuff, doesn't consider it very important at all. So I have read an awful lot more than most people regarding the background of Christianity. And I'm not just talking about books like God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens and The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. I've read, stuff in support of Christianity as well. I've read C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. I've read a huge book by Josh McDowell. I've listened to a history of Christianity. I've also tried to read a number of books on the history of Christianity and documentary series as well. So it feels to me that I know quite a bit, but I could still learn a whole lot more, And the side of this equation that I come down on is that there was a Jesus. He was executed for his religious troublemaking, but the claims about miracles and whatnot regarding him are extremely suspect, especially the resurrection from the dead. And I could give you all sorts of reasons, and we could go into it as to why I think that way. But bear in mind, the average person who just attends church, or maybe doesn't attend church, but just grew up in the Western civilization, which still has that Christian backbone to it, nobody really knows whether this happened or not. So, when a Christian comes up to you and presents you with the gospel, and you don't know whether it's true or not, and they say to you, if you don't believe, God is going to destroy you. Or they say to you, please come, God longs to save you, come and lay your burdens upon God. Warning bells should be ringing here if you're a rational person, because that is an act of coercion. It is an act of coercion either by tapping into your need for life to be better than it is, or tapping into the fear response. It's just an act of coercion. So, folks, it is what it is. And in a way, I'm not really saying anything new that I haven't said before, but I just wanted to emphasize the small print, as it were, of the gospel. And when you really bear in mind the fact that we don't know whether this stuff really happened, that reveals an awful lot about how the gospel is used, or rather misused, in order to convert people to Christianity. So, should you believe? That depends on what kind of person you are. If you care about truth, I would say no. But if you care about having some kind of psychological need fulfilled, well, you should believe then, shouldn't you? Or if you're cowardly and easily frightened by the rustling of a bush, then you should believe because you're scared. You're scared to be wrong. That's how it works, folks. That's how the gospel works. It's got nothing to do with the Holy Spirit coming in and enlightening you and enabling you to believe by regenerating your fallen nature. That's all garbage. Complete garbage. And it can be shown to be garbage, just like I've talked about. So, the world does not need this. People can understand themselves and their own natures and their relation to the rest of the universe in a far better and more rational way without Christianity than with it.